Hello and welcome to the World Series edition of Pop and Scott Talk Baseball. We're 2 games in. We're going to have another one Monday night in New York, turning from West Coast to East Coast, but still playing at 8 o'clock at night. So that's the one thing I'm not liking is I only get to watch about half the game before I go to bed. And catching the score in the morning and having a fun time chat with my friends that are Yankee fans and getting to joke around with them. But what's your take so far, Dad, on these first 2 games?
Well, a lot depends on the injury to Ohtani. If he can't play, the Dodgers are really that's not good. I mean, I'm sorry. I had some kids at church saying, "Well, he's not doing much." I said, "Well, he hit a home run in the first game," and but if he's out, the Dodgers have a little bit of a problem. The Dodgers did exactly what I predicted they wouldn't do, and that's their starting pitchers did well. I mean, Flaherty was actually throwing the ball about 94 miles an hour, and last night Yamamoto, that fork ball, they couldn't touch it.
Well. I'm going to interrupt you real quick. I got to jump in while my thoughts are fresh. Flaherty in the first game against the Mets pitched lights out.
Second game, he was lousy.
Yeah. Yamamoto, that fork ball in that game was all disappearing to Mets fans. And the Yankees are not they're aggressive at the plate. So I was kind of expecting Yamamoto to have a good game. Flaherty's so up and down, but I'll talk more about it after you. I just want to jump in with my thoughts refresh. Go ahead, Dad.
No, it's fine. I mean, I can't believe Judge is not going to break out of what he's in. He's not doing anything. Soto hit a ball about 12 miles last night. Yeah. But Soto and Stanton are doing pretty well. The Yankees are having the same problem a lot of teams have in these playoffs, and that when they get people in scoring position, they can't get the clutch hit.
Yeah,
that's because of pitching right. Dominate. If you don't think good pitching beats good hitting, look at the last All-Star games when they have. Well,
yeah, and I agree, and I just want to, I want to give myself a pat on the back real quick. Last week, I brought up the Dodgers work pitchers, right? And they do. So they get a lot of men on base. They hit guys on the base pads. And that's been a little bit of the difference is they're getting some hits where the Yankees are not. Last night was a power game, home runs. But the night before wasn't all home runs. We had a Kirk Gibson-esque walk-off with
which we talked about last week.
Right, that which you were talking about bench Freddie, and we were like, well, we could have a Kirk Gibson moment, and we did in game one.
He looked a lot better too.
Yes, he looked like they put the shot in the right place. It looks like he's having a lot more movement. I'm sure adrenaline has a lot to do with that. And the first 2 games, I feel like the Dodgers are playing their script. They're just taking pitches, making the pitchers work. Cole did his thing. The bullpen didn't.
Well, see, that situation, I just disagree with taking him out when they did.
Well, my whole thing is like, let's be realistic, all of us as baseball fans. These are not going to be 2-1 games. I said that last week. They're going to be high-scoring games. Both these teams hit the ball. The Dodgers, puts the ball in play a little bit more. They take more pitches. They get more walks. The Yankees Rodon last night was not aggressive. He was trying to hit the corners and be too finesse with his pitches. The first half I watched, I thought he could have been a little bit. You gotta go after him. You have to. And that's just a fact. But I think the Yankees, they just got to settle in. Stop trying to hit the ball 8 miles. Mets did it. And the Dodgers make you feel like you got to score a lot of runs, and then you try to revert to that. You got to play your game. And the Dodgers I think they got to get more people on base. I know they left a couple of bases loaded. Same thing the Mets did. They're just not getting that hit when they need it with 2 outs. And the Dodgers do that to you, it seems like.
The Dodgers had a couple of chances last night and didn't capitalize either. That's why the game got so close. But see, the other thing is too, Trinan, he brought him in back to back, and then last night he was nothing like it was the night before.
Right.
And but see, there again, he still had that left-hander to bring in out of the bullpen, and he got one pitch, and the guy flew out. But the Yankees.
And it's going back to New York, so things are going to be different. That crowd,
sure. I mean, it's 80%. It's 80. Well, this morning on ESPN, it said 82% of the teams that win the first 2 games win the World Series. In the history of the World Series, 82%. So last night, the announcers on there, and I'll talk about them later. Talk about annoying. The guy doing play-by-play said, well, the team that wins the first 2 games, and this is like in the 6th inning when it was 4-1. And he said, win the first 2 games wins 80% of the World Series. And John Smoltz is sitting there, and he said, well, I must be sitting in the 20% seat because they lost the 1996 World Series after they won the first 2 games in New York and went back to Atlanta. And the great genius manager, Bobby Cox, had his hat handed to him.
Yeah.
I mean, he made coaching blunders and managing blunders in those 2 games, and they lost those 2 games, and then the Dodgers figured they were going to lose, so they just stopped. I mean, it was over. The Yankees won 4 in a row. So, I mean, anything can happen. But it's, the Yankees have lost 2 games. If they win 2 out of the 3 in New York, and then they have to go back to LA and win both of them.
Right.
So if the Dodgers win one of the games in New York, they're in the driver's seat big time.
Right.
So because they're going back home and only have to win 1 game. But I predicted to go 7 games. It might not. You predicted 6 for the Dodgers. I picked 7 for the Yankees. Believe me, I'm rooting for the Dodgers. I'm not a big fan of either team, but I'm rooting for the Dodgers because the Yankees are the team in baseball that I root against. Like I have a team in every sport that I root against except ice hockey. So, and I root against them. So the Yankees, ever since I was a kid, they were the evil empire before they were the evil empire because they were the one. They were the guys with all the money and all the players.
Yeah, I'm not rooting for anybody. I'm just wanting to see ball game. That's about it. I'm hoping Ohtani gets to play because that's the guy that I want to watch. I mean, that's one of the guys, and I want to see the big 3 horses in the middle of the Yankees lineup. Also, I don't know. I Mr. New October, Tommy Edman is. I want to watch his every at bat. I want to see what he's going to do tonight.
I mean, Freddie's going crazy. He hit the grand slam. He hit a home run yesterday. But Edman, even his outs are loud.
Right. Where did he? I mean, we all know who Tommy Edman is, but where did he come from? Good grief! This wasn't the same guy that played for the Cardinals.
Well, they remember that when they got him at the trade deadline, he was supposedly hurt.
Right.
He wasn't playing because he'd been hurt all year. They said he played the first few games and got hurt, and they traded him, and they didn't get a whole lot for him because he was injured. So he went to the Dodgers and sat around for about a month, and now look. I mean,
yeah. And they were hurting at the middle infield spot.
Yeah, now he's playing shortstop, and he looks like Cal Ripken up there hitting. And so I hope the Dodgers win it, but I picked the Yankees in 7, and I'm gonna stick that way until they prove me wrong.
Yeah, I'm just having real fun watching these 2 games. Not liking either team makes it easy to watch. I haven't liked the announcers at all for the playoffs because they're announcers for national. If you watch so much baseball where you watch your local announcers, you get more insight into what's going on because they travel with their team or they work for the team, and they get along well with the announcers in the other booth that do the same thing. So you get a lot more insight in the game. These guys, they interview, it's the standard stuff, when they, oh, you remember his father was, something like that. You get little stories, but you don't get real insight. So I don't really listen to these announcers. I'm doing something. Last night I was playing video games while I was going on, just watching and talking with my friends. But you said you were having a problem with the announcers. What was your issue?
Well, when I first got out of the Air Force, I worked in radio for a little while as a disc jockey. I mean, it was at a regular little rock and roll station in Chester. Didn't make enough money, so I went to work. I was dating your mother, so I went to work at Brown and Williamson so I could make an honest living. Well, and while I was there,
with the rest of our family,
right. So while I was there working, I had an opportunity to go to work at WSSV Radio as their sports director, and I did a call-in show, a 3-hour call-in show on Saturday morning, and I did the high school football and basketball games, play-by-play on radio, and 1 year of the Virginia State College basketball games on radio. So I know something about broadcasting. Now, am I Vin Scully? No, but I know something about broadcasting. In radio, you are the eyes and the ears of the audience. You have to describe everything so they know what's going on. In television, unless Ray Charles is watching the game, you don't have to describe every little thing that's going on. These two people, and I'm not talking about all of them, I'm just talking about Smoltz and the guy doing the play-by-play. They never shut up. Never. Every pitch, John Smoltz he should have thrown the curveball a little higher on the out. He's throwing it he's got to break it off inside a little more. I mean, shut up. I can see what he's doing. But they don't stop talking. They just keep the play-by-play guy reminded me 12 times in the first 4 innings last night that I was watching the World Series. Gee, you think I might know that? They showed the Japanese people in a place in Japan. Yeah. It was 9:45 in the morning there, and they're watching it, and they're saying they're watching the World Series. No, I thought they were watching Armenian bullfighting. I mean, you could have just showed them and say, look at the Japanese, the Ohtani fans. No, but you got to keep talking. They just don't shut up. I mean, the whole game, they just keep talking and talking and talking. On television, you don't have to describe everything. I can see it on my own. It's, you're not supposed to have what they call dead air. That's in radio. You don't have dead air where all of a sudden you go and you don't hear anything. But anybody watching this, they're looking right at us.
Right.
So they can see if I take a second to look down at my sheet or something like that. They can see that. And my main problem is they just don't shut up. They don't stop talking from the first pitch until I go to bed. And I mean, it just, that's what bothered me about the.
And what you just
Smoltz is very knowledgeable. He's very knowledgeable, but I didn't notice him doing it that much during the regular season when he did games.
Right. I just feel, they're excited because they are doing the World Series. They know everybody's watching these games. You can't have two bigger teams in the World Series than what you got. But
yeah, they're the two biggest.
But what you're just describing is what I was saying about insight. They're not giving you any insight. They're just giving you very surface information. Like there's no insight into it. Like this guy, we used to make a joke. This guy hit 320 on games at 7 p.m. where the sun was in the Western Hemisphere, and they have all these crazy stats. You don't even get that from like these national announcers.
Yeah,
they just they'll throw you blanket stuff out there.
Well, I mean, it's and then you had the other side of the spectrum, but it was comical, and that was Harry Carey.
Yeah,
when in his day, he'd be sitting there going, "Hey, there's Yolanda and George from Aurora," but there's two guys that home run. He's talking about Yolanda and George from Aurora, Illinois, came to the
Right.
ball game today. I mean, but that's the
Well,
way.
I mean, that's like Vince Scully did games by himself forever and was awesome.
Yeah.
It was just perfect. It was great. I mean, we listened to him on the radio some when we were coming back from Nationals games and stuff. And I mean,
The one guy with the shorter leg than him.
yeah, one guy with the short shoe and met his other guy with the same difference. Well, I mean, he great stories, and I mean, that's what it's about. The insight, the stories, and sometimes I don't feel like I get that from the national broadcasts. So that's kind of where
again, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that I would do a better job than the two guys doing it.
Right.
It's just I think you're probably right. The adrenaline's flowing. They're so excited about doing the World Series that they just fired up. They can they just can't. There's I thought of something else I got to say.
Right. Yeah, and I mean that might be it. I feel lucky that as a Mets fan, I feel like I get to see the best commentators for homers, and they're not really homers. They work for the Mets, but Darwin, Hernandez, and
They're the
Cohen,
best group I heard. They're the best group I heard all summer.
I love that group. They will tell you like it is. I've said it before. Hernandez had to apologize to Reyes back in the day for what he said on air. They tell it like it is. And Hernandez, he would watch games when his early days of announcing and see all that talking on the field between players and having fun. Now he's used to it. And he used to drive him crazy because they're not your friends. They are the enemy until after the game.
Yeah, because it's just a different world.
It's a business now, and so the players are more friendlier.
Oh, they're much friendlier. I mean, you got a guy who goes to first base, and they're standing there talking and laughing and everything.
Finding out where the best places to eat and everything else.
Asking about each other's kids and stuff like that.
Family. Yeah, they. And I mean, that's just how it is now. But yeah, I am not a fan of that group that's doing the game right now. That's another reason why I haven't said. And like, I don't care about the Yankees and Dodgers other than it's the World Series. If this was game 78 during a regular season, I wouldn't be watching it. But that's just it is. Well, I might be if it's the late game and I didn't have nothing to do the next day because to see the guys that are playing. But just for me, it's a World Series, so I feel like you have to watch it. And last night I enjoyed what I was watching. I saw Freddie smack one. Tarasco, who hasn't really been doing much this whole postseason, he hit one. And then Soto, a couple of my friends I like Juan Soto too. I just can't as a Yankee. He crushed that ball last night, so it was fun. There was a lot of ups and downs last night for those guys. But yeah, it's fun, and even with two teams you don't like. That's what I said last week. I feel like with the guys that are playing, this is almost a historical World Series this year. You got two longtime teams that have been the Dodgers. I can't remember when they started in Brooklyn, but it was forever ago. And the Yankees is one of the first founding teams. So, I mean, that's what makes this so great. But,
and the other thing about
and then the players that are on the team, I mean, Jesus.
And the other thing about the Dodgers, if they win this World Series, this was your best chance to get them. Because if they stay healthy, which that's a big if with that team, that organization. But if they stay healthy next year, and they have Buehler, and they have Yamamoto,
well, Buehler
they have Mays, and they have Glass now, and they get Goslin back, they are going to be loaded. You better get them because they'll come back with the same team next year. Plus, the unicorn will be pitching. So I'm telling you, if they stay healthy next year, they're going to be a whole lot better than they are this year. A whole lot better. And so this might be a good year to get them if you're going to get them.
So what did he hurt? He hurt his leg or his ankle?
His shoulder.
He hurt his shoulder.
When he slid, I don't know if I can show you on here, but when he slid
feet first.
He slid feet first, but he stuck his arm out.
Oh, okay.
And when he did not bend his elbow. And the hit the ground, and it jammed up and knocked his shoulder out of joint.
Okay, well, that's an NFL. That's a football injury.
Yeah, it's the same thing as a football injury.
When they put your hand down.
I did that when I was playing. I was playing. We were playing backyard football when I was a kid, and I stuck my hand out like that and broke my arm. And you broke your arm when you fell like that playing JV ball in high school. But that's what he did, and he knocked his shoulder out. And but the Mets,
not my shoulder out.
Yeah, you broke your arm in 2 places. So the Mets and Dodgers set a record for viewership in their series.
Yeah.
They had 5,627,000 viewers, the most, the highest since the 2017 playoffs between the Nationals and the Cardinals.
And they timed it right by not having it tonight. That was kind of.
Well, yeah, they're avoiding it. They're going to play Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday in New York, and then they got Thursday off, and then they go if it goes 7 games, they play Friday and Saturday in LA, and it's over. And they also do it; they get it done before they have to turn the clocks back.
Right.
Because do that Sunday morning at 2:00.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all good points there. So kind of for me, this is kind of going the way I thought it would go. But I'm a lot of, if you're a Yankee fan, it's going back to New York. It's a you know how New York, that's a crazy place to play in. Tough stadium. Those fans get loud and rowdy. Just like they do in LA. They came out and they were boisterous. They had iced tea, get the crowd rocking before it started. They knew what they were doing, and the Yankees will do the same thing. They'll have somebody come out, get the crowd fired up. If it's an ex-player or something, they'll have something to fire up. Those bleacher fans out there. That.
Well, we had a couple of losses this week too. We had a couple of deaths this week. Fernando Valenzuela.
Yep.
63 years old, passed away. He came back to the team in the early 2000s as a broadcaster on their Spanish language channel radio. He's been working for them since then. He was in the major leagues for 17 years, and he pitched for 11 years in LA. He pitched for different teams, but he was 11 years in LA. He had 173 wins and a 3.54 earned run average. He is the only player in 1981. He won the Cy Young and the Most Valuable Player. He's the only player in the history of baseball to do that. And that was in 1981. I remember
his eyelids.
I remember that Fernando, it was called Fernando Mania.
Yes.
When he was pitching.
He breathed through his eyelids.
Yeah. And the other was Rudy May. He was 80 years old. He pitched for the Angels, the Yankees, the Expos, and the Orioles. He was best known when he was with the Yankees or with the A's. He was well known with both of them. And he also was pitched in 3 different games in the 81 World Series when they played the Dodgers, ironically. And he passed away this week also. He had 152 wins and a 3.46 earned run average. Here's another one of those things I found. I wasn't looking for it, but I found it, and it's kind of cool. The average use of baseballs per game is 120. 120 baseballs per game. That's if you have 2,430 games per year, so that's about 10 million balls. That's used every summer.
Good God!
It's a huge amount. I found that in an article. And oh yes, one of the guys at church asked me, "Who was that in the Dodgers sitting behind the home plate? Who's that blonde lady? I've seen her somewhere before." And she's Mary Hart.
Yeah, Mary Hart. Yeah,
Yeah, she was on Entertainment Tonight from 1982 to
she's got
2011.
season tickets.
Yeah, she's been a season ticket holder for 1,000 years.
Yeah,
but they didn't they recognized her, but didn't know who she was.
yeah.
And yeah. Oh, the other thing that this is kind of cool. The average income for a college graduate in their lifetime, the average income is $2.7 million. And that's for a person to go through high school, go through college, get a good, decent job, and make $2.7 million in your lifetime. Scherzer and Verlander make that in 23 days. Now, the lowest salary in 2025 will be $760,000. The A's had the lowest payroll this year of $60.5 million. Some teams had that for two players.
Right.
So
or deferred.
Or deferred. So I just, I found all this stuff, and I kind of thought I'd bring it up because, the main thing with the baseball now is the World Series. Because now, I love it when I pull up. This guy should be traded for by the Mets. This guy should be traded for by the Cardinals. It's speculation. When they start doing the real deal, then we'll have free agency. We're going to have some more trades, maybe. We'll see. But until we see any of that, Now, here's the other thing. I found out this morning. Major League Baseball has told the Rays that they have to let them know something by Christmas about the roof at Tropicana Field, whether it's going to be replaced or not. The city and the team are kind of negotiating with each other. They're thinking about going together and putting a kind of a temporary thing up there. So, but they said,
Well, it looks like the last one was temporary as well. So,
well, apparently because the storm blew. But I mean, it
was just a like a parachute type of material. It wasn't like a hard surface, I don't think.
Well, I mean,
held up by wires and poles.
Well, the way with climate change and all the storms and all that, and the heavy rains during the summer in some places and all that, they might have to put domes on almost all the stadiums so they get the games in.
Might be.
And anyway, I was watching. Jacksonville was playing. They're playing football today, and it was 82 degrees at kickoff in Jacksonville, and it's going to be 80 here for Halloween. What crazy weather! 39 tonight and 80 Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Hello.
Yep.
Hello. So anyway, hopefully, Ohtani's not, because I don't think there might be some Yankee fans that would say, okay, maybe it'll benefit us if he's not playing, but it takes away from the game. When the best players, Jacksonville's playing Green Bay, and the first series of downs, the quarterback for Green Bay rolled out and came up limping. Love came up limping, and when I came in here, he was still trying to play, but he was limping around out there playing. So, here again, when you lose your best players, it takes away from the whole sport.
Yeah.
And so hopefully Ohtani will be able to play, because it's fun to watch him. It's fun to watch him. I don't care if Judge does strike out. It's fun to watch him. It's just
fun. Because it's just going to be the one he hits 8 miles.
Yeah.
Or he's going to hit a bloop over the first baseman's head. You don't know, and that's what makes it fun. These guys are too good to not watch.
Yeah.
If you're a baseball fan, I'll preface that. Even if you're a casual fan, this is a great series to watch.
Well, Yankees of Dodgers has been,
it's historical. I mean, you don't get any bigger than those two franchises. I mean, we had some historical. You can call them the Guardians or whatever. Another historical franchise was in the series. the playoffs and all this stuff. Of course, these people that want to hang on to the good old olden days that they never even watched wants to tell all of us guys that really enjoy this that the Babe Ruth and all of them didn't have playoffs. They just had championship series and all this.
Right, that's what I grew up with.
And I'm just like, yes, but that's not how it is anymore.
Well, I mean, I've got an option. I can sit here and say, well, I'll just sit here and remember how it was in 1965,
right?
Or 1955. But I'm not going to watch all the playoffs. I'll just wait till the World Series to watch. I have that option, but I enjoy the game, and the playoffs have made it more exciting. Yeah. I'm sorry, it's made it more exciting, and it's made it more where a manager has to use his ability to. He has to use his players where he's got to save some.
And like I said from the beginning, look at the superstars. The superstars we got to see in the playoffs. The great players that were in the playoffs this year. It was awesome. And, you know, a lot of times, a lot of people don't get a chance to see all of these people. And they're on a national stage.
Real quick. And then we'll call it a day.
Uh-huh.
If the Dodgers and the Yankees were playing the World Series and there had been no playoffs like it was 60 years ago, then we wouldn't have seen Harper, Real Muto, Alonso. We wouldn't have seen these players.
Yeah.
Bobby Baseball, Ramirez, that plays for the Guardians. We wouldn't have seen these great baseball players. Look at the guys on the San Diego Padres we wouldn't have seen.
Right.
Machado. I mean, we got to see these guys playing baseball when it really mattered, when everybody was giving it everything they've got. So that, to me, is a benefit. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm not, I'm old-fashioned enough to know. Now, there's some things I don't like. I don't like all the bat flipping and the guy hitting the home run and standing there and watching it go and then drop the bat and run around the bases. Or at least you should at least run out of the box pretty hard at the beginning because it might not go over the wall. The guy for the Dodgers learned that. Mm-hmm. And then he did the same thing last night. Yeah, because he was so sure it was gone. But that first night when he hit that ball and hit the wall and he didn't run it out. And you could read, you could read the lips on that was against the Mets. You could read the manager's lips. He looked over to one of the coaches and said he didn't run. So
I'm sure you heard about it, but it didn't matter. Yeah, and I'm so glad. I mean, there's part of me that wishes they would change how to get rid of divisions, just have two leagues, because it wouldn't change anything. You still just play for a pennant and you're playing for World Series. Divisions doesn't matter. But I've really enjoyed this playoff season. Really, really. I mean,
if they just wanted to do two leagues, they could take the top 6 teams in each league and have a playoff, and the top 2 teams, the top 4 teams would have byes. Mm-hmm. If they want to do it the same way, it's fine. I don't care how they do it. I mean, I don't have a problem with it.
But I mean, you got anything to end this one on?
Well, this kind of cute. I mean, Yogi. In 1947, he grew up in a place called The Hill in a neighborhood in St. Louis. And Joe Garagiola, who played with the Cardinals for a while as a catcher, he and these guys were all on the same Little League team. And Garagiola was known better as a broadcaster than a baseball player. But in 1947, all the families that lived on the Hill had a Yogi Berra Day because he was, just a youngster then. And he was real famous for the Yankees. And he said, "I want to thank you for making this day necessary." So okay, Yogi, you're welcome. But that's I just thought I'd add that. He's just and where he comes up with this stuff, I don't know.
Right. Well, Dad, let's end it on that. And until next time, like, share, tell a friend. If you got questions, let us know. Or if you have any statements, please let them fly down below. Until next time, see ya.